Welcome to today's explainer. You know, tonight we're doing something just a little bit different. We are completely stepping away from that overwhelming, buzzing rush of our daily lives. Instead, we're going to explore a really profound concept that comes from a beautifully grounding piece of text. We'll be examining a quiet scene of midnight reflection, really unpacking the sensory and emotional elements that guide us toward a state of mind we call unhurried clarity. So go ahead and settle in, take a slow, deep breath, and just allow this space to guide you through a truly calming exploration.
Okay, let's dive into this. When was the last time you felt truly at peace, without simply being asleep? I want you to actually pause and reflect on that for a second. In our modern world, we so often equate rest strictly with unconsciousness, right? We run at absolute maximum speed from the moment we wake up until we finally just collapse into bed. We desperately need an escape from that daytime rush, but we rarely give ourselves permission to find peace while we're still awake, alert, and conscious. To understand how we can actually capture that waking peace, let's look at the setting of our source material. The text opens with this incredibly beautiful imagery. The window frames a slice of the universe, dark velvet sky. Imagine standing at that window right now. You're feeling the cool draft, just acting as a quiet observer of the cosmos. Up there, things move at a completely different pace. You might see the occasional shimmer of a passing breeze catching the leaves outside, but there's absolutely no urgency. The sheer vastness of that dark velvet sky just instantly puts our frantic daily worries into perspective. And that brings us to the core foundation of this whole experience. There is no rush to be anywhere or do anything. Notice how that changes your physical posture just hearing it? The environment described here actively sets the tone for tranquility. Picture it. The coffee is wonderfully warm in your hands. The nighttime air slipping through the cracked window is sharp and crisp. And the silence around you, it isn't empty. It's heavy, but in the absolute best possible way. It's a silence with real substance. Part 1. Awakening the Nocturnal Senses. So let's start with what we smell. The bittersweet aroma of a coffee roast perfectly mixing with the scent of damp earth and pine. I invite you to actively imagine those specific, rich aromas layering together right now in the cool night air. Think about how the cozy warmth of the coffee contrasts with that cool, earthy, grounded smell filtering in from the trees outside. It's this incredibly specific, layered fragrance that literally only exists in these quiet hours. Grounding ourselves in this physical environment, focusing on this complex scent, it forces the brain to process the now, which effectively crowds out all that leftover noise from the day. Next up, we shift to the soundscape, a distant owl and the hum of the wind through the eaves. You know, during the daytime, the world is overwhelmingly loud. Cars, phone notifications, voices, construction. But at midnight, that entire wall of noise just drops away. And what it reveals are these incredibly subtle, beautiful sounds of the nocturnal world that were there all along, just drowned out. Linger on that idea for a moment. The soft hum of wind against the house isn't an interruption. It's a rhythmic, natural metronome that helps pace our own slowing heartbeat. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the detail. We just talked about the vast dark velvet sky and the distant owl, but the source text intentionally zooms us all the way in to a tiny micro detail, the soft clink of the cup meeting the sill. This tiny, tactile, physical action anchors the observer completely. Hearing that distinct, quiet sound confirms your physical presence in the room. It's like a tangible tether to reality that stops your mind from wandering right back to its daytime anxieties. Part 2. Hitting the reset button. The culmination of this whole midnight observation results in a deep, lung-filling breath. And this isn't that shallow, stressful breathing we do while staring at a computer screen all day. No, this is a breath that expands your chest and literally changes your physiology. The text describes this feeling as hitting a reset button on the soul. And that directly answers our very first question, doesn't it? This connects right back to your own need for peace. Rest isn't just about sleeping, it's about consciously hitting this emotional reset button through intentional observation. Let's move to and see how this builds. Part 3, the art of unhurried clarity. Picture it. You're standing there, your senses are completely engaged, you've taken that deep breath, and you're simply watching the shadows stretch slowly across the garden outside. This stillness paves the way for the ultimate realization of the text. So the crucial point is this definition of unhurried clarity, the profound realization that peace is not simply the absence of noise. That is such a vital distinction. Peace isn't just an empty void. Instead, it's the active presence of this specific, calm awareness.
Take a second to let those words really hang in the air. You aren't just hiding from the loud world, you are actively cultivating a state of mind that is clear, focused, and entirely unhurried.
And this brilliantly illustrates the duality of the midnight hour. We have the world asleep versus nature alive beyond the glass. The human world of deadlines, social media, and obligations is totally dormant. It's paused. But just outside that window, a completely different ecosystem is thriving. The wind, the trees, the nocturnal wildlife, they are carrying on with a natural, completely unbothered rhythm. As the source material beautifully notes, this vibrant, natural world is out there, performing just for those awake enough to listen. And this is the great takeaway of our explainer today. This profound reset, this beautiful sensory experience, it isn't locked away in some distant, expensive retreat. It's always available, waiting right outside your window, any night of the week, for anyone willing to simply pause, breathe, and observe. You just have to be willing to be awake enough to tune into it. Which leaves us with one final essential question for you to carry forward. How will you find your own unhurried clarity tonight? Will you crack a window, brew a warm cup of something comforting, just listen for the wind? The reset button is out there, waiting for you.